Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. I'm late, but we're going to cover Virginia. I know a lot of people have been waiting for Virginia, but we will be covering that today. So, this Commonwealth of Virginia, what do we know about Virginia when it comes to the Democratic primary? Well, it looks like, as you know, Joe Biden has I would say somewhat underperformed his 2020, and he's going to underperform it somewhat because there's not going to be much people that's going to show up and vote for the incumbent president because the incumbent president 90% wins all the time. That's the theory that goes around. But ultimately, if you are going to go and vote for, like, if you don't vote and that means that you're going to be a part of the thousands of people that won't vote. It's just a complicated process. But the theory is if you are going to not vote, you're going to be a part of the 10,000 people or somewhat thousand people that are not voting, and then you get the opponent candidate winning. So that's something to always consider in elections. And that's why we get 300 um 11,000 candidates. I mean, people voting in elections, even though it has pretty much nothing to do with them. Because they could just stay home because they know that Joe Biden's most likely going to win this contest. But if you don't go out and vote, this ends up being like the American Samoa and an embarrassing defeat for Joe Biden, where 51 people go out and vote for Jason Palmer, and Joe Biden loses a contest. Let's give it to him. He wins three delegates, but still, a defeat is a defeat and an embarrassing one. And that's something that Joe Biden did not mention in the State of the Union. So, yes, it's a pretty interesting, if you would ask me, but we are taking a look at Virginia. So, yes, 311,000 people voted for Joe Biden, 88.6%. Marianne Williamson got the brunt of the game and won 7.9% of the popular vote, 27,000 people. I would say it's probably scattered around these lighter blue areas, the areas that voted for Biden around 80%. But that is sort of the theory here. She kind of got some votes in Arlington, Fairfax County. So that does make the difference. Dean Phillips, though, is pretty dropped out because he keeps coming in third place and letting this no-namer politician who isn't keep on beating her. And to be honest, Marianne Williamson is not a politician. It says she's a politician. That's because she's running in an election. She's running in a presidential election. But her background has nothing to do with politics. She's an activist, but that does not make her experience for office. And ultimately, yeah, she's a Bernie Sanders supporter. So, of course, she's going to have somewhat of a say in the Palestine Israel conflict. And that's why I think, since there's no uncommitted option, people are going and supporting Marianne Williamson to kind of have some say of what is going on in the Middle East. So, that is kind of the ongoing theory when it comes to that. So, yeah, there's no uncommitted. You'll see patterns showing that Marianne Williamson's winning in urban areas. That's the areas that I would think has the most of the pro Hamas, pro Israel Palestine population, that in my opinion. So that is overall the theory over there. But let's see. Yeah, 7.9%. Somewhat, that's very good. Marianne Williams is probably going to stay in this race. Let's see if she dropped out. Yeah, she's still in because she's probably saying, "Look at me, I beat Dean Phillips." Because Dean Phillips is just too far right for the Democratic Party, even though he's reality center left. They Democratic Party just go and they say far right because he actually says that Biden's doing a bad job with the economy, and that the Democratic Party is kind of corrupt when it comes to kicking people off the ballot. Oh, far right. That's the That's the game they play. If you dare criticize the Democratic Party, you're far right, and that is itself extremist. And if this case, that would be far left because you're using words and insults. You're using far right as an insult. And the Democrats are notorious. They think as far right as a negative. And while in reality, far right's just a political position. And they really like when they think of far right, most Americans think of Nazism, and that's not necessarily what far right means. Far right usually means that you are a hardliner on the Republican Constitution parties, like you are more of a believer of example of Republican policies. Or and that's just internet. That's just national politics. Far right internationally means supporting terrorism, Nazism, etc. This is not, we have nothing to do with international politics here in the United States. Nothing to do with international politics and how we run elections. So we shouldn't, far right, the word far right doesn't really necessarily qualify for example, um, the Nazism, Confederatism, even though Confederatism is still a thing in the United States, they support it, but I don't think they're meaning it to be a um far right thing. Honestly, I think it's just a pride thing. We like to celebrate pride in this country, express ourselves. I think people have the right to express their identity as a Southerner. Okay? And however they want to express it, as long as you're not expressing and aiming it towards other groups and using it toward of hateful rhetoric, then I think it's fine. If you're not, and they're saying it's because of they're proud to be Southerner, it's history, then I say let them have it. It's a free country for the crying out loud. And yes, we don't like you flying your pride banners, and that's because you guys don't let us fly our banners. It's really tear down the banners that you disagree with, and keep the banners up that you agree with. And that's not how the country works. So a little talk there, but let's take a look at the Virginia results in the Republican Party. And now, the Virginia results, as you know, I'm very concerned about the Donald Trump performance. I know a lot of people were happy. Donald Trump won Virginia because Virginia was a state, as you know, that's full of neocons, and historically a neocon hold. But yeah, I get that. But what I'm saying is, look at that. Donald Trump, I would say, performed his 2016 record just by a little bit. But what I'm saying is, not all voters are going to come out and vote for Donald Trump, because once again, it's like the Democratic primary. We know who the winner of the nomination is going to be, but it shouldn't be that much as the Democratic primary. Donald Trump's not the incumbent president, although he's probably the incumbent leader of the GOP. He somewhat does have a significant hold, but I would expect voters to come out and say, look, Nikki Haley, she's doing better than Dean Phillips. We're going to toss bid for her. But apparently, only a few, 34.9% of people did that. 242,000 people dare voted for Nikki Haley. And otherwise, it's either people that said, you know what, I don't want to vote because, Donald Trump's going to win this. It's other people that are saying, I don't like Donald Trump or Nikki Haley. I'm not going to vote at all. So it is a kind of concern that no one came up, because reality, if you look, a lot of voters came and voted in the Virginia primary in 2016. Look at that. We have over 600,000 people. That alone adds 700,000 people. And then 800,000 people, almost 900,000 people. but around 800,000 people voted in this election, and add this together, around 600,000 people voted. So we have like 300,000 people that didn't show up and vote in this election. 300,000 Republicans. And once again, they have different reasons. What if they couldn't just get out and vote? They were like, you know what, Trump's gonna win this anyway. You know what? Um, as you know, I don't like Nikki Haley. I don't like Donald Trump. I'm not gonna vote. So that's kind of the theory there. Let's take a look at the patterns. Of course, Donald Trump wins in urban areas. He performs best in Southern Virginia, as well as Biden winning the black belt. But along with Nikki Haley wins more urban areas. Donald Trump performed well in urban areas. He won like, let's just say Roanoke, Lynchburg. He won areas over here, except for this city. He won Virginia Beach, the most conservative city in the state of the most conservative city and the most urban city in the state of Virginia, the most populous overall. But you'll see Nikki Haley performed best in like areas like Fairfax County and the surrounding cities of Arlington and Alexandria. She also won Richmond and areas like this area, city and county over here, this city and this city. So she did have somewhat of support. Neocons did go out in support of her. And because of that, she won 6 delegate votes to go and vote for her in the convention, which is held um going from July 15th to the 18th of 2024 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So that is what is going on when it comes to that. So what do you guys think? Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining me in visiting these 15 Super Tuesday states. We are now going to take a look at those lower blanket elections, including the California blanket primary coming up next, along with the ballot measures. Oh, well, ballot measures will come up later. Then North Carolina state primaries, and then ballot measures. We still have a lot to go through. I'm hoping to get this done by Tuesday. It's already Monday, so I don't know. It's okay. I will cover some subjects, but let me know what you guys think. This is thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next political episode.